In this video, we will review the process to enable spend in your SAP Ariba buying and invoicing system for no-release contracts with recurring items. SAP Ariba's contracts compliance functionality enables your organization to model complex contract terms that you have negotiated with your suppliers. One such type of contract is a no-release contract with recurring terms. These types of contracts contain terms that do not require a release or a purchase order in order to procure the material or service. Organizations typically use this type of contract for planned recurring services when internal processes do not dictate the necessity of a purchase order. Supplier invoices can either be auto-generated or you can allow suppliers to create invoices directly. For the purposes of this demonstration, we will assume that we are creating a contract for safe rental services, and we will cover the key contract terms field related to creating a no-release contract with recurring terms. If your organization has enabled the contract authoring functionality, you will access the contract terms document directly from the Documents section of the contract workspace. If your organization has not enabled the contract authoring functionality, you will create a contract terms document directly. In this example, we will have the contract authoring functionality, so we will access the contract terms document from within the contract workspace by clicking on Contracts Compliance Terms and Open. First, note that the contract terms document is a wizard with 9 sections on the left. The first section that we will configure is the definition section. The definition section will pull in the initial detail from the contract workspace, such as contacts, effective and expiration dates, and the supplier. If you would like to change details that are not editable directly within the contract terms, you may update the information directly within the contract workspace. Now let's review some of the key fields in the definition section. The contract type is an important field which defines the level at which the contract terms will apply. Item level contracts apply to line items from the supplier. Commodity level applies to a specific category of spend from a supplier. Catalog level applies to a particular catalog of items from a supplier, and supplier level applies to all goods and materials from the supplier. For this example, I will select item level contract. The next key field is release required. This specifies if a purchase order is necessary to buy from this contract. In this scenario of a non-release contract with recurring terms, a purchase order is not necessary, so I will select no. Notice that changing this field removes some fields and adds some additional fields. Next, select yes for allowing invoice against contract. Selecting yes will give the supplier the ability to submit invoices based on the terms of the contract, since there will be no release or purchase order to invoice against this contract. The next key field is allow suppliers to add non-catalog items to invoice. Select yes if you would like your suppliers to have the ability to add additional line items to the invoice that are not already defined in the contract. For this example, I will set the field to no. And the final key field for creating a non-release contract with recurring terms is the Allow Receiving Against Contract field. You may optionally set this field to yes or no depending on your organization's requirements for receipts. If the receiving is set to no, you may add an invoice reviewer to verify services performed. If receiving is set to yes, the invoice will be verified against the receipt for confirmation of services. In this example, I will set the field to no for receiving against the contract. Once you have completed the definitions, click Next. The next section is the Limits section. In this section, you can define the minimum and maximum limits to purchase against the contract. You can also define approvers of the minimum or maximum levels are passed. Let's assume that this is a $250,000 contract and set the maximum limit to $250,000. Click Next to move to the pricing terms. The pricing terms section is where you can define the contracted terms for the items, commodities, catalogs, or supplier depending on the contract type selection in the definition section. In this scenario, we selected an item level contract without release, so we will define the fixed and recurring contract terms at the item level. Click Add Items under Fixed and Recurring Fees. First, enter a description of the material or service. In this example, we are creating a contract for safe rental services, so we will add a line item called Safe Rental. In the commodity code field, type Cash Vault Services. Then select Search More. Select your proper commodity code. Next, enter the amount. In this field, enter the per monthly amount to be invoiced over the life of the contract. In this example, we will specify $50 per month. Optionally, set a tolerance and ensure that the recurring field is set to yes. Select the billing frequency. In this example, we will select monthly billing. You also have the option of auto-generating invoices or relying on the supplier to submit an invoice on a recurring basis, as well as the option to respect any existing auto-receive rules. Finally, confirm the start and end date for the recurring releases and confirm the accounting data. Click OK. If needed, continue to add additional fixed and recurring fees to the pricing terms. Once all of the individual line items have been added, click Next. Optionally enter milestones. This section is typically applicable for project-based work. Click Next. In the Access Control section, optionally defined users that will receive notifications based on available contract limits. Click Next. In the Payment Terms section, define the payment terms to be applied to payments related to this contract. The tool defaults your organization's default payment terms. Click Next. In the Appendix section, optionally upload supporting documents such as the actual executed agreement and click Next. Add any comments if necessary and click Save. To make your contract active, click the link for the contract terms document and select Publish. Depending on your organization's approval rules, you may need approval before the contract is approved. To view the required approvers, click the Approval Flow tab. Finally, click Submit once your contract terms are fully approved. The contract will be active and suppliers will be allowed to invoice against it. Thank you very much for your time today. If you need more information about enabling categories of spend with the Ariba contract compliance functionality, contact your customer engagement executive or access connect.ariba.com.